Good evening. I figured I'd come in and do a video real quick for you guys and talk about a couple things. First off, China. Everyone is talking about China right now and all the stuff that's happening with the aircraft carrier, Chinese aircraft carrier going over to Taiwan and their destroyers and a lot of their ships that are surrounding Taiwan. I was not in the Navy. I don't know a lot about Navy stuff, but I almost joined the Navy. I went to an actually Naval Academy high school. For high school and almost joined the Navy. I wanted to be on a submarine. Long story, I didn't do that. Ended up joining the infantry. But I've always had an affinity for the Navy and have kept up on some of the things that happen in the Navy and the Navies around the world. There's a channel called Sub Brief that I highly recommend joining if you're not joined already to that channel. He basically takes inventory of all the navies around the world, and any big Navy news that comes up, he talks about it, and he's definitely talking about Taiwan right now. And according to Subbrief, that according to the latest intel, this is the position right now of the ships that are surrounding Taiwan. You can see that there's a number of ships that have surrounded Taiwan. The Chinese aircraft carrier is the one everyone's talking about, and all throughout social media. Everyone's like, China sent their aircraft carrier. Oh my gosh. And back up for a second. The Chinese aircraft carrier that they have, the one aircraft carrier that they have, is a hand-me-down from the Russians. It's actually not an aircraft carrier. It's actually designated as an aircraft cruiser because it's about the size of a cruiser ship, or one of our cruisers. It's a small ship. It does not have nuclear propulsion capabilities. It doesn't have catapult capabilities. It has a ramp on it so that the aircraft can get the proper altitude, hopefully, because sometimes it doesn't, so that it can launch aircraft. Just to give you a distinction between our aircraft carriers and their one aircraft carrier, if you want to call it that even, it launches about 12 to 14 sorties per day. 12 to 14, it has the capability to launch around 12 to 14 sorties per day safely. The Nimitz-class carrier that's also in that area can do that in an hour. So it's the difference between shooting a bullet and throwing one. The two things that concern me with this whole issue on China is that if there's going to be a battle over Taiwan, the first one is they have this ability apparently to have these supersonic missiles, sea missiles, that it's not yet known if our ship defenses can take down. That's a concern. But they say it's been tested. They say it has these capabilities, but it's not battle tested yet, so no one knows. And until something is battle tested, you don't know if it actually works. Our equipment that we have in theater right there is battle tested. That's my first concern is, are these missiles that they have capable? The second thing that I'll mention is something that was brought up by the Prepared Homestead. It's a great YouTube channel. You should check it out. Travis over at the Prepared Homestead. He makes the point, and rightly so, that we don't have the munitions to take on really anything right now. We don't have the manufacturing capability that we once had. I remember when I was in the military talking to these old grunts who, harken back to the days of the 80s when munitions were just wheelbarrowed out to the ranges. No matter what you were shooting, whether it was armored or whether it was infantry, it didn't matter. You had munitions like crazy that soldiers could play with. The training, because we had all that. We don't have that today. We don't have the manufacturing, and the issue that concerns me, not to mention the fact that if we got into some sort of a heated war with anybody, we are depleted on all of our munitions. We don't have the manufacturing ability. But the fact is that the civilian ammunition market will cease to exist. And it's not because the military is going to be buying civilian ammo and taking all the civilian ammo. The civilian market won't be able to have the materials to make civilian ammo, because it's going to be sourced and sucked up by the war machine. So if you don't have ammunition yet, if you don't have ammunition for, to feed your personal, defense platforms or whatever that is, you better get it now, like today. Because if something's going to cook off, it's going to be soon. A couple of years ago, think it was a 2020, a Chinese general basically made the point, okay, be ready for war by 2023. It's 2023. And that aircraft carrier is limited to the amount of time it can spend out, that aircraft cruiser is limited in the amount of time it can spend out at sea because it's not nuclear powered. Okay, it has to have fuel. And yeah, there might be tankers out there to help fuel it and, keep it going for a while, but it's limited. So if they're going to deploy that force, they're going to have to do something with it quickly, or it could be a test to see defenses and see wargaming. Subbrief also makes a great observation that this is a great time for the U.S. military, if we're on our game, and I don't know if we are, to observe and take into account doctrine and training and some of the things that they're doing, the Chinese are doing over there, so that we can observe that and take inventory of some of their doctrine and training and practices and stuff like that. So it's a great time to do that. But China's not going to let too much of the cat out of the bag unless they are about ready to move. I don't know if they're going to move, it's going to be soon. So there it is. I'm not trying to be a doom and gloomer. Everyone's talking about this. China has deployed its only aircraft cruiser to Taiwan, along with a number of other ships. And we'll see if there's anything else that happens. But I don't know. But it concerns me. I want to switch gears here for a second and talk about the economy and finances. And talk about this candy dilemma. That's why I'm titling this video, The Candy Dilemma. I was out on a recent fishing trip with my youngest son, and we were going through southern Missouri, a place called Rockbridge, Missouri, and the only way to get there is some windy roads through some small towns, and you stop in places, some small mom-and-pop shops, and we stopped at a small gas station, and there was this candy right by the register, and you could tell it was homemade. They were selling sticks of licorice, and you could tell they were homemade. And they were not, these commercial brand licorice. It was homemade sticks of licorice. And they cost $1. Right now, me and my sons, we do reading. I read to them at night, and we're going through the Great Brain series and have been for a while. It's a number of books. Anyway, so I made note in the book that a stick of candy 100 years ago, because that's when these stories were written, or that's when the stories take place. I think they were written back in the 40s or something. But it's a little over 100 years ago, when these stories were taking place, a stick of licorice, as described like the one I saw at the gas station, were a penny. So 100 years ago, you could buy a stick of licorice, homemade, for a penny, not made with corn syrup, not made with food coloring, homemade stick of licorice for a penny. And today, if you bought one at that gas station, it's $1. That's 100% of the dollar losing its value. The dollar has, since the creation of the central bank in 1913, whatever it was, we have lost 100% of the buying power of the dollar. That's the point we're at right now. And it just goes to show me, I was at my bank the other day, and they had these candy bars for sale, and they were like $2. And in the book, it's The Great Brain Goes to the Academy. If you've read that series, that particular book, he was buying bars of candy, chocolate candy, big bars of candy for 5 cents. He was reselling them for 10 cents. He bought these candy bars for 5 cents. And here they are for sale in the stores for $2. And they're smaller. And they're made with corn syrup and food coloring. They're not homemade. They didn't have all that stuff back then. We have lost so much of the buying power of our money. It's gone. It's absolutely finished. And when you read history books, usually when economies and countries lose the purchasing power of their currency, war usually follows. Usually. Not always, but usually. And with things heating up in China right now, that's the direction it looks like we're going. So, the candy dilemma. It just goes to show. Let me show you a picture here. This is a picture from the Sears Roebuck. Sears Roebuck catalog over 100 years ago. Do you notice the guitars? How cheap they are. These are acoustic guitars. The most expensive, finest, well-made guitar on the page is $20. You could buy the best guitar from the Sears Roebuck catalog with a $20 gold piece. Man. What would a 1 ounce gold piece buy today? A really nice, probably top of the line acoustic guitar for $2,000. We have lost completely the buying power of our currency. It's gone. And so what's going to happen is inflation. You're going to see massive hyperinflation. And the way they're going to fix that hyperinflation, the way they're going to stop that hyperinflation is a CBDC. They're going to wipe out completely the debt with that hyperinflation. They won't allow the hyperinflation to basically manifest. They'll just introduce a CBDC and say, hey, we have something different. We have something better. But if you take a look at everything that the government gets involved in, it all fails. Look at our education system today. Our education system today is completely trashed because the federal government is involved with it. Look at our airports today. When's the last time you were like, oh, I'm really looking forward to going to the airport? No, nobody likes going to the airport anymore because the federal government completely controls aviation. Everything the government touches goes to pot. So how much faith do you have that this CBDC, even if it works perfectly, even if it solves the inflation problem, is going to, work out well? I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it. So what does that mean? The BRICS nations, China being one of them, Russia, India, South Africa, Brazil, and others are all coming together and saying they're going to launch a gold-backed currency. Why gold-backed currency? Because that is real value. Despite what people have told you over the years, we can't go back to gold and silver. Yes, we can. It's been done all throughout history. When currencies fail, they go back to gold and silver. In fact, probably within your parents' lifetimes, they remember a lot of the coins that they had that they bought stuff with was made of silver. A silver quarter in 1964 would buy as much of a gallon of gas as a gallon of gas would buy today. If you took that silver quarter into a coin shop and sold it, you could buy a gallon of gas with that one quarter. Try buying a gallon of gas with the quarters they issue today. I don't know what's coming. And, there's nothing really I can do about it. I'm just one guy on the internet. And all I'm doing is just trying to prepare my homestead the best I can and get my family squared away the best I can so that when it does come, the giant bite out of that crap sandwich is going to be hopefully a little bit less than it has to be. But it's going to be a nasty, nasty bite out of that crap sandwich. So that's my video for the day. Hope you guys are doing what you need to do to prepare. Time is short. All right, guys. Love you guys. Hey, check out our merchandise, teespring.com. Stupid should hurt. If we had more hurt in this world, it'd be an awful lot less stupid. That's for sure. All right, guys. See you next time in the homestead. Bye.
Alexander the Great. Did you know when he died, his body was placed in a coffin made of solid gold? Decades later, Ptolemy X and Cleopatra III stole the coffin and gold artifacts just so they could pay their war debts. Germany, at the time of World War II, stole all of the gold they could get their hands on, and much of it still today has not yet been accounted for. You see, all throughout history, when times get tough, people, either good or bad, seek real wealth. They turn to gold and silver. The central banks and Wall Street cheerleaders would have you believe that gold and silver are just shiny rocks with no real value. But did you know that central banks around the world have for the last year been buying record amounts of gold and silver for stockpiling? Stockpiling for what? What do they know that they're not telling us? Genesis Gold Group is a proud supporter of an American homestead. They help people get out of locked-in 401ks and IRAs into something that's real, physical gold and silver. If you're going to be locked into something, it might be a good idea to talk to Genesis Gold Group about being locked into something physically vaulted instead of just a piece of paper that at the end of the day is just that, a piece of paper. It's a clear surety that our economy is headed for turbulent waters. The nation is currently over $31 trillion in debt, and Congress keeps spending money and the Fed keeps printing it. That does not bode well for anyone keeping and saving money in savings accounts or paper-denominated assets. Call Genesis Gold Group today, this instant, or visit them online at genesisgoldgroup.com. They can put together a strategy that's right for you. And be sure to say that you heard about them from an American homestead.
Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of an American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. Oh wait.